Yeah, I want to do a little daytime update for everybody that wants that. And yeah, thanks for being in here. E-Rock, Knowledge, Rock Davis, Tracy. Good to see everybody in here. Tim, David. If I miss anybody, I apologize. Chucky, what's up? Penny, Janet, KC. Good to see all you guys. Okay, I am going to go ahead and jump into it, guys. Got some stuff I really want to get out here and give everybody at least a nice little fast update on what's going on with space weather and things. So we will jump right into that. Legitimately. I know I say that constantly, but 99% of the time I don't do it because I like talking to you guys too much. Anyway, Schumann is, yeah. Still got the same spike, guys. We had a little bit of a lull, and then it spiked again. And since it did that back about, what was that, 1:30 UTC, or 8:30? Yeah, 8:30 UTC. We haven't had another spike since. But, yeah, I mean, if you guys were feeling bad and stuff during all this, maybe ear ringing, all that kind of stuff, that could have been it. Most definitely could have been. It was a long-lasting event. So we'll go more deep onto that at a later time. I usually try to explain that pretty thoroughly, but obviously I won't do that in this video because I try to keep this one at least reasonably timed. X-rays, okay? The sun's flaring, and there's no way around it. You know, it's just going to be more and more activity. That's what I'll say to all that, because it's not going to go the other way, guys. It's just not going to. We have come out of the minimum part of the sun cycle. We are now heading towards solar maximum. We're not nowhere near it yet. Not even close. But we are most certainly ramping up. And, you know, I got a couple things I want to talk to you guys about on that. And when we get there, we'll go a little bit deeper. But you can see this right here. Sorry, I'm clicking around here too much. That almost got into M-class flare. And, you know, it's a higher C-class. You know, if that had happened, I don't know, 6 months ago, it'd have been all over everything. Everybody would have been talking about that. But, you know, we're kind of expecting this stuff to kind of gradually increase like this. And that's what's going on. Now, geomagnetic activity. Our solar wind's been strangely low again. Below 300 again. And staying there for quite some time. Also, the geomagnetic activity is starting to get low enough that we're going to have to start paying attention to cosmic rays now. I think this is probably going to change in the next few days, and you know, because we got solar wind incoming, and plus a couple little CMEs that are kind of telling behind it, and they may get here right about the same time. We may not even know the difference, okay? Because I think one's going to hit, and then the CME behind it is probably going to hit us with not very big of a gap in between the wind stream and the CME itself. So that should be happening like on the 6th tomorrow. Actually, you know, within the next 12 to 24 hours, maybe 48 on the outside chance there. But yeah, within the next day or so, we're going to see some activity on the geomagnetic graph there. And then we got first look at your sun here. Obviously, you got, you know, the coronal holes, okay? That's what's giving us the increase in the solar wind that's coming on the 6th. Here's that big old sunspot, and this dude's a beast. It's big. It's flaring. It's going to continue to flare, in my opinion. How big it gets, who knows, as far as the flares, how powerful. But this active region up here has had 2 or 3 CMEs fire off of it. Now remember, when that crested over here, it was I think they gave it a sunspot number for a minute. But it kind of decayed, lost its characteristics, but it still, I already showed you one of the CMEs. So I think this will make look like 4 small CMEs coming off of this one. 3 of which didn't come our direction. So, but this thing here is definitely flaring. Okay, this is visible light. Now you guys can see that, right? I mean, that's guys, that right there where my cursor is, that's as big, that's bigger than the Earth. So I just wanted to point that out, and I'll actually show you. I got a capture of it with the Earth in to scale, and it'll probably shock a few people there if you have never seen it before. ACE data, it's exactly what we would expect to see. Getting a little bit of an uptick in wind and in density. So that means that the solar wind stream is probably starting to arrive. Within the next 12 hours or so, the solar wind stream will probably be here, and shortly thereafter, the CME will be there. So we will definitely have to keep our eyes open for that. But the temperatures, jumping around still, which is kind of to be expected. The phi angle kind of dove off right here. I'm not sure if it's doing a polarity flip there. It doesn't look like it. Not quite yet. It could be the start of it. Usually when it does a polarity flip, it'll just, down here and then back up. Okay? About like that. Okay? The BZ, it's pretty much normal. It's not in the negative or anything. Kind of dipped down a little bit. But there's not a whole lot to talk about there as far as, that goes. Now, if it's in the negative, guys, remember it's easier for the energy to get into us, okay? And if it's in the positive, the angle of it actually kind of tries to deflect it. So, here's the Enlil model. Again, guys, check this out. Density, this thing has got density low for 7 days in a row. And, then consequently, you got the velocity is going to be high, the wind speed. And I say that quite often. They do the opposite most of the time. And when they do the same at the same time, like if they both rise at the same time, and when it happens like that, if they're hitting us at the same time like that, it's going to hit us harder. That's when we take some pretty decent beatings. But the solar wind itself can do it, and so can the density. We can still get, really active conditions just with one of them being raised up. So when they're both raised at the same time, obviously it gets a little bit more hectic there, and it gets a little bit more intense, I guess would be the proper word for that. But I want you to watch this right here, okay? That's going to come, it's going to hit us right across and then look right behind it again. So we've got dense, higher wind speed coming for the next week, at least. And if this thing is correct, it's climbing again right here, and it's going to be further out even. Look over here on the spirograph, hardly any blue. And the reason is, guys, is it's the sunspots, it is the coronal holes mainly, okay, that's actually giving us that kind of wind speed. But there's CMEs involved now too. So that is what it is, but that's what's going on with that. If we do get an increase in geomagnetic activity, we will see this thing react. Okay? We will see that the auroras will get brighter, they'll get down further. That's just what they do, right? The energy comes in easier on the poles, and that's the main reason why we see this stuff on the poles. Because that's where the particles can interact with the oxygen and nitrogen molecules. Okay? Again, oxygen typically produces the green ones. You come down further, closer to the surface, you get more nitrogen molecules, and it'll give you, reds and pinks and stuff like that. We went into a lot of detail on that the past couple weeks. I hope you guys kind of remember that. If not, just go back and watch a couple of my streams there. Again, this thing here is reacting too. I'm assuming it's probably from the increase from the x-rays and stuff from the flares. So you see that, right? And you're going to see it's going to do it a couple times. And it'll change position. Why? Because the Earth's rotating. Okay? So when we get, stuff directed from the sun, if it's coming from the same spot and we're rotating, it's going to move this way. Right? Just like our sun rises and sets, and we know why it does that, because the Earth rotates. So you've seen that kind of a bright, charge there. And again, I don't know exactly what we're looking at here yet. I still haven't, I'm digging into it, but I'm not comfortable enough trying to explain exactly what this thing is trying to show us. Okay, so you can see right there where we actually took a pretty decent. And what's interesting about that, you know what's right here? That's the South Atlantic Anomaly. That means that the magnetics and stuff down here, guys, is weaker. It's weaker, and it's oddly shaped. There's a lot of crazy magnetic stuff that goes on down here because of this. They call it the South Atlantic Anomaly. And it's split almost into two now. It's gotten bigger. It's taken over the whole southern South America continent. And then if you go over this way, it's actually reaching Africa now too. And it kind of looks like that, you know, like kind of like that. But it looks as though it's split in two. So, and this is hitting right there. I mean, look at that. So maybe stuff's getting in. I don't know. Maybe it's deflecting it more. It could. So yeah. Here is the magnetopause models. This is the newer ones. The sun's off to the left. The ones over at ISWA are the ones that were, you know, the ones that we're all accustomed to using. But they are the older tools, and they are, you know, they're quite old. So, you know, now does that make the data over there invalid? No way it doesn't make it invalid. Because it was good enough to use back then, why isn't it good enough to use now? Because there was a lot of people back then using it, and now there's a lot of people saying bad things about it. So it doesn't make any sense. So if you were hanging your hat on it back then, and then, you know, and now you just like won't even look at it, I think that's a mistake. So, but anyway, you see I will say that these updated models, they do have a better visual. They probably have better data input, which will help the models do, you know, give us what's really actually going on a little bit closer to what is. But those other models can be adjusted too, guys. Okay? You know, they say, well, the new ones, they might be messing with them, you know, so we can't see stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I have no doubt in my mind that could happen. I'm dead serious. But what would stop them from changing it on the old models? It would be just as easy to do that. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to discount one, you got to discount them both. For that reason. My opinion, you know. Anyway. So. You got this right here. This is the density. And again, remember this was all white yesterday. Okay. And now we're, you know, the wind speed's slowing down, right? We're getting like up 300s on the high end right now. So with slower wind speed, the particles hang around more. They're more dense. So that's what's going on there. All right, that's why we're seeing that. And actually, this right here is a little bit more of what we normally see anyway. Okay, when it gets all white like that, that's not a normal thing. Not to say that it's unheard of, because it happens quite often, but it's not what our ambient conditions are. It's not what we would consider that. So you can see when it all changed, because this one here shows it really well, because the pressure is really low. And then round about here, which would have been what time? 13:05 UTC on the 5th. Okay, just, I don't know, about an hour ago. Okay, and, you know, the pressure picked up. And we're back to more of a normal looking magnetopause. So, that's what happened there. This is the sun, obviously. I'm going to show you guys these flares real quick. The flares and the couple CMEs that we did see. So we'll look at the flares on the 131 because they show up more. They're easier to see. And they're going to come from here. I showed you one of the bigger ones yesterday that happened. Again, just kind of, there it was. Okay, that was the big one. We'll do another. We'll bring it back and do it again. Watch right in here. Right there. See that? Okay, then a smaller one happened, right? Then another one. then another small one. If we went back to the graph, the solar X-ray graph, you would see a bunch of them right there. Okay, they were like bam, 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 bam. You could see it. Each little spike was a little flare. So those are the flares. Now we'll look at it over here on the 211 to see the CMEs on the other spot because it's easier to see. So let me do this. Watch right here. There's the first one. There's the second one. There's the third one. There's the fourth one. 4 little CMEs. Now, they do look as though they're coming our direction, guys, especially the last 2. Even the last 3, I would say. So, that plasma did leave the sun. That was an ejection. Now, it's not a huge one, but this is the stuff we're talking about that's going to be, attached pretty much to the solar wind stream. We're probably not going to be able to tell much of a difference when it changes from just the solar wind to the CME, because it's going to look very similar. Now, if this was a big one, then yeah, we might have something different to talk about, but that most definitely is what you're seeing there. So we got flares, CMEs. Okay, this sunspot here is probably going to stay in front of us probably for the next week and a half, or probably right about a week, I would think, from now. But here's the 304. I'm not going to show too much of that, but this one here is what we look at when we look for filaments. Okay, so yeah, there's your flares and your CMEs. Now let's take a look at the Australian model. Shout out to Mossies. Let's let this thing load. Remember, this one's very, very simple, but it's easy to understand. You got your wind speed, and then you got your density. Notice how everything's just kind of stuck right around 295, 300. Then the proton density, the density that we talk about, has shot up to 23 right there, which is higher than normal. So that's probably what we're seeing on some of these graphs right now, is that increase in density. And the speed itself looks like it is picking up, so it's probably that coronal hole stream. That's what that's pointing to, guys. Geoelectric field model. It's space weather's effect on our unnatural electrical components, basically our grid. Transformers, wires, substations, all that kind of stuff. And you can see, just like in that other graph I showed you, remember down there at the South Atlantic Anomaly? This is kind of what the same thing we're kind of seeing here, okay? It's probably happening right about the same time. It is. So, it's probably the same energy. It's just hitting down there on a different graph, showing something different than what this is. Okay, this is seeds. I'm going to back that off here a little bit. 11.5 here. And so you can see these jets like kind of popping out a little bit around the occulter. Remember, this is our view. The Earth is here. Okay, looking at the sun. So let me go to the previous day, the 4th. And you see in a couple of those CMEs pop out right here. Watch. It'll look like a little cloud. Right there. Okay. Now this is our view. Now notice that you got all this debris stuff flying around right here. I'm still not sure if we're in some sort of I don't think we're in a meteor shower right now, guys. So this is very, very dirty looking as far as, dirty area of space. This may be the solar flares and the CMEs reacting with the camera, and the camera, because it does this. It'll like when it gets like a big flare right in the camera, it'll look like this. The red will turn into what this looks like over here on the left. Look like white noise. But that doesn't mean that anything really big happened there. It just means it caught a flare, and that's how the camera interpreted it. But you can see jets flying out everywhere around here. And it's from a couple CMEs and that sunspot. okay, with this flaring. CME tracker, this, I talked about this in my last video. This really upsets me because, this thing hasn't updated since the first. We've had other CMEs. We got CMEs coming at us. Why isn't it showing us those? I know they're probably not big ones, but my gosh. Okay, earthquakes. We did have another decent size one up here in Alaska, guys. That's a 5.1. That's on the bigger side than what we've been seeing. We've been seeing like in the 4s up here after the big 7.6 happened like 2 weeks ago. Plus we're getting, you get a good idea, guys, of what's going on around, what's going on with earthquakes just by backing the whole picture off and just kind of looking at it and seeing how busy it looks. And you'll find yourself being able to notice things after a while, which is what I'm doing. Okay, I'm still not up to where I really should be to be able to get into anything kind of technical with these earthquakes, other than to say that when we have solar wind, the earthquake chance goes up. And I've always stopped there, and I'm going to continue to stop there until I think I know this stuff well enough to do that. I don't want to do a disservice to you guys and tell you the wrong thing. So what I did there, I changed it from 2.5 to all magnitudes. Watch that again. Okay. Looks pretty, kind of normal, just kind of a slow day, right? Well, no. Okay. We can dive in here again. And these are areas we would expect to see them quite often anyway, but maybe not to this amount. This is probably fracking, guys, okay? Again, up here in Alaska, I asked Ricky if that was kind of normal up that way, and she said it was, because I wasn't too familiar with that part of it, and I just had that question, I wasn't sure. So she said it's pretty normal. I mean, it's not like it happens every day or anything, but it's not like extremely rare. Okie dokie. Now watch this. 7 days, all magnitudes. Look at that. That's the last week. You can definitely see where it's flaring. Now this is something I found interesting too. All these right here are all about the same size. Even down through here. These are all like mid-range. Okay? I just find that really interesting. And there's a big one that happened over here in Greece. Plus we had this weird one over here in Russia. And a couple weird ones over here in Alaska. Not Alaska, but Canada. Kind of strange. But, sometimes we do get earthquakes, guys, in crazy places. And every time it does mean something, but it doesn't have to necessarily mean something catastrophic, okay? Obviously, we're all still here, and that one happened, and nothing, you know what I mean? Helioplots, I'm not going to go down through here because we're not seeing much here. These are the seismograms that, that we have. I started showing these when we got that 7.6 up from up Alaska, because it really rang our bell pretty good. Everything turned black on these. Okay, here's that flare. Let me do it like this for you guys. It's going to show you the flare back to back to back to back. See it? So that was I think it was a C7 it came in as. Let's look. Yeah, came in a C7 class. All right. That's an upper C class flare, but they're even talking about November 6th with the. Yeah, they're saying the exact same thing I just said. So, you get the stream, the solar wind stream, and then you get the CME stuff right behind it, and it kind of pulls it right along or pushes one or the other, and there it is, There's that Sunspot again. Look at that thing. That's a hoss. Oh, man. Right here, guys. Check this out. Okay. Remember I told you this thing was probably bigger than the Earth? Here's the Earth to scale. Okay. It'll fit right up in there. And then look at the rest of this. This is pretty chaotic stuff. And when it is chaotic like that, when those lines of magnetism cross, that's when it flares. Okay, it's kind of like a short, grabbing two wires, jump starting a car, that kind of thing. That's kind of what's happening there. Not exactly, but kind of. And so when they meet, that's when they have the flare. And this one, I think it's going to be pretty active, guys. And so yeah, here's the power outage map. Not much going on there. That's still from that hurricane. Hurricane, what was it? Zeta, I think was the name of it. So yeah, I'm going to talk to you guys about one more thing here before I let you guys go. This is an article, and it was written back in April of 2019. But you guys hear me? I went and found this article because I talk to you guys a lot. Actually, I'm gonna bring you guys up here just for a second with me. Okay, you guys, you get the sound and everything's okay in there, right, guys? Somebody give me a heads up or a thumbs up or whatever, please, in the chat if it's still okay. Okay, cool. All right, thanks Arizona and Ricky for being here, Native Texan, everybody else that's here. Axe, good to see you. E-Rock. Guys, this is I tell you guys our magnetic field is weakening, right? This right here is exactly what I've been talking about, and I hadn't read this specific article, but I had read the data that they're talking about here. Okay? So they're basically saying exactly what I've been saying. But I want you guys to hear this part of it. It says, it's well established that in modern times, the axial dipole component of Earth's main magnetic field is decreasing by approximately 5% per century. Okay? Now, I know it sounded like a bunch of word salad to people that don't know those words. Basically, what they're saying is, our magnetic field's been decreasing by 5% per century. That's what they're saying. But check this out. Recently, scientists, and this is back in 2019, scientists using the Swarm satellite, okay, those are the ones I think that go north-south, and they go like 14 times around the Earth every day, something like that. It's a pretty high number, okay? And it says the Swarm announced that their data indicated a decay rate, get this, 10 times faster, or 5% per decade. So what they're saying is they went from decreasing 5% per century to 5% per decade. And they think it's actually moving faster now. Okay? It says that rate of decay at that pace, or if it speeds up even more, we could be looking, and I hate to say this, I don't like this word, but I have to tell you because that's what this means. We could be looking at a mass extinction event that is beyond what most people would dare to imagine. Okay, and they go into a lot of stuff here. It says even National Geographic has acknowledged this. Cancer rates have risen. Stats now are saying that 1 in 3 of us will experience some sort of cancer before we die. And the sun is part of the reason. Okay? And that's why I tell everybody about UV. So, it says, and this is what I tell you guys too. It says, but as the magnetic field continues to weaken, things will get worse. And it goes on to say a lot worse. And I've explained this to you a lot, guys, that it's not going to take as much to really give us a good crack across the head. Okay? So yeah. That's just it's one of those things, you know. And what they're talking about here, if you go on and you read, it's actually in a cycle. It doesn't just, it don't just go down all the way and come back up. Or go down all the way and just stay away. That's not what they're saying here. It's actually a cycle. Sometimes I don't know what it does, because none of us have been here for that. So we're trying to, just trying to figure it out. That kind of thing. But, what they're saying here is it won't take as much to really give us a good hit. And it's going to continue this way. Now, I know this all sounds like a bunch of gloom and doom, but it's actually the truth. This is stuff that they can physically go out, and we got data supporting this. Okay? Now, that doesn't say that it could slow down, really, really quick, too, for some crazy reason that we just don't know why. That's possible, too. Everything is possible. Fact of the matter is, we have not been here for this event, ever. Okay? So, take that for what it's worth. I just wanted to bring that to you. It says the magnetic field surrounding Earth is weakening, and scientists say it could be gone in as little as 500 years. Now, what would that mean for us? Well, yeah, I'm not even going to go into that. You guys know the answer to that. So, yeah. What do? Well, we don't do nothing, guys. We can't. There's nothing we can do to stop it. Whatever's going to happen there is whatever's going to happen there, and we just got to give it to God or whatever whoever you give it to or whatever, and let Him take care of it. You know what I'm saying? That's all we can do. And if we could prepare for anything like that, I don't think we could. If we think about it, guys, look at Mars. Mars looks the way that it does because its magnetic field was ripped away. Okay? So, why would we be any different? We wouldn't. And that's why I don't buy into all the gloom and doom all the time, because nobody knows exactly. They can't know. None of us can know exactly. So, that's where I'm going to leave this. I put a link. You guys can go read this. It's a pretty long article, okay? But I would suggest you guys go read this because it really does have a good base of data here, guys. So, it says the most recent version of the model came out in 2015 and was supposed to last until 2020. Now, we all heard about this, remember? They had to go back up there and find magnetic north a year early because it had moved so far. So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, guys. I want to say one more thing, guys. All this stuff going on right now, and I know that this has got to bother people. It bothers me. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you all the stuff that we're looking around in our country right now. It just really looks like it's, it just doesn't look good. As far as it could give us some stress and all that kind of thing. And last night, I just told my wife, listen, we're going to just shut it off. And that's what I did. Because I'm not going to sit here and just get so sucked into all that it's going to make me, feel really bad. Just stress me out for no reason. We can't control it, guys. Again, just like space weather, we can't control what other people do. So let's just do what we can. Control what we can in our own little world, and things will be okay. That's a promise. I mean, really. So, if you guys find yourself in a headspace because of everything that's going on, and then I throw this crap on you guys like I just did with that article. I didn't really want to even show you guys that article today. But I felt like I needed to because that's what's actually going on. And it was relevant. But if you find yourself like that, talk to somebody in the chat here. Okay? People will talk to you, I promise. Email me. I will talk to you. This is not the end of anything. Okay? So just do what you can, control what you can, and let God have the rest of it. That's what I do. So, but yeah. And again, I know people handle it different. I do. I get that. Do what you got to do to get your stress level down. That's what I will say to people. So, anyway, guys, I am going to go ahead and cut it because I try to keep these short. I'll be back on later on tonight. Guys, as always, go check out Scott, Planet X News. Go check out Mark Pyers, Real Talk. Guys, we're going to get his channel blown up for sure. It's already starting to. And I got you guys to thank for that, because you guys are the ones that are doing it. You know, I know he says, well, Mark brought you guys over here. Yeah, I pointed you there. He kept you there because of the content, and you guys went there. So it's all of us. It's just that simple. And I'm really happy that we found some place that we can let that, you know, get some sort of positivity after I show you all this negative junk. So, but it's important stuff, okay? I don't want people to think I don't think it's important, because I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think it was. So, thanks, E-Rock. I appreciate that, man. All right, guys. God bless. Yahusha saves, and